What we're seeing is a lot of companies are taking a compliance approach. They kind of tick the box, Yep, I've done these disclosures, tick, 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 job done. You don't run any of the other parts of your business like that. If you do, I would be worried. You need to have a reporting strategy.
Transparency is a prerequisite for confidence and trust in what we are doing. And this is why also with our integrated way of reporting, which we implemented since 2021, we provide a full picture of our activities that treats sustainability aspects like our financial performance. And we have seen quite a lot of positive feedback to that step. In the old days, it was about reducing carbon at the tailpipe. You had a technical setup, a test bench, where you got out a measured carbon impact figure. It's assessing, not measuring, not accounting. So we look backwards. We take average numbers, we take the best evidence we can get about what we purchase, and then produce a carbon footprint number. It is now about the truth. It is now about numbers that need to be extremely reliable, that will be impacting your corporate performance.
There are so many stakeholders today, boards of directors, non-government organizations, the general public, and they're all looking at you with a slightly different lens. And I think making sure that you have a consistent message, that it's always on point, that it's always transparent, that it's always supported by facts, is really important. For Novo Holdings, it's really important that we're transparent. We have responsible investment policies. We publish a responsible investment report. We have responsible tax policies, and we also publish a responsible tax report, because we really want to make sure that people know exactly what we're doing as an organization and can actually hold us accountable to what we say.
What is greenwashing exactly?
Sure, that's a good question. And the answer is really simple. The answer is greenwashing is fraud. It's very simply fraud. We've come up with a very soft way of saying that in terms of greenwashing, but it's essentially fraud. Basically, it's misrepresentation of the truth. It's about making claims which, as a company, you cannot evidence. So there's been examples like a case against Exxon where a pension fund sued Exxon on the basis that they didn't disclose the impact of climate change on the business. And the court made the point in that case that actually, of all the companies in the US, Exxon knew more than anyone else on climate change. And really there was no reason why that wasn't something they were explaining to their investors.
Is there any advice that you might have for people who are wondering, how can I avoid greenwashing claims?
I think the easiest way to avoid greenwashing claims is honesty and transparency. I think that we have to be realistic about what we can achieve in a realistic time frame. I think this agenda is very similar to many other agendas where you try and setting smart objectives, right? Make them specific, measurable, make them agreed, realistic, and time measured. It's not rocket science.
The fundamental problem we have is that unlike financial reporting, where there's a system of debits and credits and there's a balance sheet with assets, liabilities and equity, there's a structure people are familiar with. So there's a reasonably common language. But in sustainability, it's been the Tower of Babel. It's different types of information. The metrics are not standardised. There's no consistent information, and often no consistent trend line in the information either, because one data point is completely useless unless you've got something to compare it to. We need to move to this kind of global system that if we do think sustainability reporting is important, then we need a common language to underpin that, and we need a global system.
I think the real question about disclosure is about whether or not it's useful for decision making. There is obviously some fantastic progress that's been made on the sustainability disclosure side, and that is continuing. But there's also pushback about the volume of that disclosure and its usability for decision making, right? The extent to which a company can understand its risk and reallocate capital or transform its business model. Can we make sure that this information that we don't normally include in our economic and our financial models, can we trust it? Can we build confidence in information on impact? In Europe, we talk a lot about double materiality, the extent to which companies have an impact on society, as well as systemic risk having an impact on the company. But that information has to be trusted. And the Capitals Coalition in recent weeks has released a beta framework for integrated decision-making, which provides the criteria for this confidence of information on impact.
Globally agreed standards for carbon accounting are critical. We need to move into a real carbon accounting. And we need to leave behind us the insufficient logic of just life cycle assessing our products. We have, as BMW, been part of a big initiative called Catena X, which is about creating the digital foundations for the kind of information sharing that is needed in this extremely complex automotive supply chain. Say, we put in place a task force saying, deliver the fundamental rules of carbon accounting on a global scale. It is not that complex. So I believe firmly that within a year you can put that together with the right 50 people working together. But you need a political impulse and you need market forces to develop that. The financial industry can play a huge role, not just asking for give me your numbers, but to say we want accounting rules to be the foundation of these disclosures.